but maybe you have an opinion on why you think specifically Black South Africans have, not necessarily why they have issues with the African brothers and sisters, but what do you think the core problem might be, so that if we resolve it, we don't stress anymore? Do you think it's just colonization, just divide and conquer? Do you think it's something else? Because some will obviously argue, well, Nigerians bring drugs. You're like, cool. I'm not from Nigeria, number one, even though that's also unfair. But I'm not from Nigeria, so what's your issue with me? You don't know Cameroon. You don't know where it is. You don't know what happens there.
Right.
What exactly is your problem?
You know, speaking of not being from Nigeria, most of the time we are just all locked under Nigeria, right? They don't even care whether you're Ghanaian, Cameroon. We are all referred to as Nigerian. And I said this, my kids are born here. My kids have never even been to our home country. They don't know any other country than South Africa. They've never traveled out of South Africa. But they get bullied in school all the time to go back to their country. I mean, that is how bad some of this whole thing is. Like, even kids in school can pick up, especially when they cannot speak the language, that, oh, these are not South Africans, and they, you know, throw these words at them. So I think that the question you're asking, there's so many layers to it. Part of it is colonization. Part of it is maybe an easy target. Part of it also is when a particular thing has been repeated so often. They said, if you want the lie to become the truth, say it more often, right?
Correct.
So because it had been said so often, many people just believe it without critically analyzing that. Are foreigners really the problem in South Africa? You know? So I think that's part of it. Of course, I know that crime is a thing. It's a huge thing in South Africa. One of the things that I noticed in traveling to other countries is the safety, the safety you feel. Yeah. You don't constantly have to watch over your back. You know, being in Dubai, like, the environment is so safe that your body reacts to that. Being in Singapore, the environment is so safe that your body, you feel the muscles in your body relax to that. The day you come back, right at OR Tambo, as you land, you tense up, like, it just, it reacts to that. So yes, crime is a thing, but if all foreigners were to leave South Africa, will that problem really be solved? So those are some of the questions. So I think that and repeating that foreigners are a problem, many people have bought into that narrative without really questioning it. I'm not saying all foreigners in South Africa are not the problem. Of course, there are criminals that are foreigners, and there are criminals that are locals, you know. So, but I think that because this thing, especially, I don't know if I want to go there, because it's become also a political topic, it's going to become difficult for people to just accept that every country has foreigners, so to say. When, again, I'm going to go back to the UAE. Being in the UAE, you barely see locals. Especially in Dubai, it's made of, you know that these are not people from the UAE. Like, you just walk out, go down Dubai downtown, you see it. Wherever you can see that these are not locals. You barely see them. So the country is so open and so welcoming that as a foreigner, you feel you're welcome here. And they don't make it that thing of like, oh, you are a foreigner. Like, you don't even feel that. So the difference is clear. And when you hear of the goals that a country, again, like the UAE, have to increase their population growth, part of it is to make it more easy, give more access for more people to come into the country, right? It's the same thing with Singapore, opening up more avenues for more foreigners to come into the country. But when you look at South Africa, it's almost like South Africa is anti-tourism. I don't know how to put it. I know that on one hand, there is promotion for tourism, but on one hand also there is like, we don't want foreigners, I guess maybe specifically black foreigners.
We want white American and white European tourists, not black African tourists.
Exactly. So that type of conflict of information, it makes you wonder. We are campaigning for tourism, but at the same time, we don't want foreigners, and we are being used under the same label as illegal immigrant. But not all of us are illegal, right? But we receive the same treatment. Suppose an illegal immigrant, we receive from the locals.
I'm sorry about your experience. I'm going to close off this topic. I'm sorry about your experience, and you didn't come here for this. But thank you for indulging me. As you were speaking, some of the things you were saying about your children and what they experienced made me think of white children who were not alive during apartheid, etc., who are also just here. Right. They've never been to Europe and they get told, go back to your own country.
Right.
And there was something that you said specifically that really touched me. No matter what you do, you can pay all the taxes, you can create jobs, you can donate, you can be like, there are Black South African children that I have taken to school or whatever. I will never be welcome here. And you guys would rather embrace a criminal who does nothing but destroy your country as long as they have a local ID. And that's not how nations are built. And to be fully honest, a big chunk, if not almost all South Africans, depending on how far back you go in history, were not originally on this piece of land. And now, almost like white Americans who want to chase away immigrants. And you're like, you guys are not even from here. Some of you are Irish, some of you are British, some are Spanish, but you have the audacity to want to tell people that they're not from here. So I do hope some of this work, and you're very right that politicians are going to carry on being convenient. I hope some people are going to try and put in the work and make sure that in putting the work, we're not defending criminality, but we're highlighting the positive of people that are here, that have been here, that have added so much value, to try and shift the mindset